it will freeze. Another thing that happens also, if somebody goes out and gets you some resin and brings it in, if you're in there bolting most of the shift, then somebody brings you some new resin, it's going to take longer for it to set up. So the colder it is, the longer it takes it to set up. So you really need to watch that. If somebody brings you some new resin while you're bolting, you may have to change your process of putting bolts in. Okay, this is for tension roof bolts. We are not using tension roof bolts. More likely we never will. So we'll kind of bypass that. This is automatic temporary roof support safety precautions. All roof bolting machines operating in a working section shall be equipped with an approved ATRS. Again, that's that thing that goes up against the roof. The ATRS system shall be placed and maintained firmly against the roof, not more than 5 feet in by the last row of permanent supports for the Lee North roof board. That's that little twin boom, or the little single boom we've been using. 8 feet for the Fletcher roof boulder, which one we're using now. So we'll have an ATRS that's 8 feet in front of you while you're bolting. Entry widths, room widths, crosscut widths will not exceed 20 feet maximum. Again, we got in a lot of trouble over this last while. We've been training new miner operators. We want the guys to maintain 18-foot roadway because you're going to get some sloughage. You mine at 18 feet, you get a foot slough off of each side, you got 20 feet. You go over 20 feet, we got to add additional supports. We had an inspector in there a few months ago. We found places that was 26 feet wide. We found a lot of places 22 feet wide. And again, it's just because the guys aren't paying attention. Training new guys. If we encounter adverse roof conditions for the next crosscut, well, first, okay. We encounter adverse roof conditions when the next crosscut goes, that crosscut can be left out. And technically what that means, we've got in our plan it says our crosscuts can't be more than 200 feet apart. If where we want to make a crosscut, we've got a fault, some big cracks in the roof, some kind of bad top, we can leave that crosscut out and go with the next one. This is just a little bit of a diagram to show you the steps of the mobile roof supports. Right now, again, we're pulling pillars. We've got those big mobile roof supports in there to hold the roof up. The main thing is on those mobile roof supports, we need to use them in pairs. We never move one without the other. We've got into a lot of trouble where guys thought there's no problem, the roof's not working, it's not heavy, they let a mobile roof support it down, tram it out, let the other one down, the roof caves. So this is showing a sequence of mining where we'll go in, we'll take a cut off that right pillar, we'll move the mobile roof support up to cover about half of that cut, we'll take a cut off the left pillar, we'll move that roof support up, like we'll move them both up, then we'll take the next cut off the left, like we'll take 2 cuts off the left, just keep moving those mobile roof supports up. That left side is actually a barrier pillar, so we're just kind of robbing along the barrier, the right side's the pillar. We move around the pillar, get between those other 2 pillars, we pretty much do the same sequence. Do a left cut, a right cut, left cut, right cut. We get right down to that number 11 cut, that's that final push. Now, most of the time, we're only using 2 of those mobile roof supports. All the way coming out that cut, you just have 2 of them that you use coming out. You get down to that final cut, that's where you use all 4 of them. You set them up, you keep a 16-foot roadway. You don't want it no wider than 16 feet. And you go in and you make that final push. And the object of the game is get enough coal out where it'll cave, leave enough coal where it won't cave till you get the miner out. Takes a lot of experience and work to figure out exactly where that trade-off is. Again, we buried a miner last Friday. Or last Monday, not Friday, last Monday we buried the miner. Simply because somebody took one too many loads. A lot of times what we'll find, the guys will sit there and try to decide, can I get one more load? 99% of the time, no. If you're sitting there wondering, thinking about it, don't know for sure if you can, that's good enough. Get out and go to the next one. Now what we've done, go ahead and go to the next slide. What we've done, we formulated about 4 of these different plans. MSHA wants you to put down in writing exactly 1, 2, 3, 4, exactly how you're going to do things. You find when you go in there, you start pulling pillars, every pillar is different. You can't do every one of them the same. And so we've come up with several different ways to do it, different size pillars, different cut sequences, so that no matter what we get into, we'll be able to get the pillars out right. The big trick is we can do just about anything we want. The big trick is the guys that's in there needs to be smart enough. When an inspector comes in, you can pull this plan out and say, we're on this cut right here. When it's all caved all the way around you, it's really hard to tell what you've been doing. But you need to be able to show him on the plan what cut you're doing. And again, this is just one of the sequences we can use. There's one more. This is the sequence that we pull the pillars in. Up at the top there, we get up on the very far. We got our bleeder system. We leave usually 2 row of pillars. Leave that one entry open, so air can circulate all the way around the gob area. Those slash marks is the gob where it's already caved. And so we'll start on that left side, or that's where we're at. Pull the pillars 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 all the way across. This is a sequence. If we get into a place where we've got a caved area on the left or on one side of us and in front of us, which we are in right now, and then we'll pull them with this sequence. Any type of material we use for roof support needs to be approved by MSHA and included in our plan. And so we've got a list. Listed in the roof control plan is the roof molding materials that we are approved to use for roof support. And it may include the style, length, and diameter of roof bolts, fully grouted, mechanical combination, size of bearing plates, type of resin, header blocks, wire mesh, steel roof mats, a lot of other stuff. There's a pretty big list, longer than that in the plan, so we can use about anything we can find. What roof support is used and where it will be determined by upper management. Now, one thing, anybody that's a roof bolter operator, that is a real critical job. There's 2 things that we got to look at. First of all, he's the guy that's trying to make the roof safe for everybody else. If you don't install these bolts properly, you don't get the resin mixed right, you don't get the bolts tight against the roof, we're in trouble. Somebody could get killed. He's the guy that's going to know what kind of roof we got up there. Is it solid sandstone? Do we have mud bands? Has it got a lot of cracks in it? He's the guy that's going to tell us that. He's not the guy that will make the determination of what we will do. But he's the guy that needs to let us know if there's any change. So he'll go to his supervisor, his boss, and let him know that we're hitting something different. Precaution for drift openings and while mining within 150 feet of the coal outcrop. Again, drift openings is like our portals where you go in the mine. Protection of persons from falling material at drift openings will be performed by providing wood, steel, or concrete face-up structures a sufficient size to prevent falling material from entering the drift. The drift is the portal, the opening going in the mine. We're mining within 150 feet of the outcrop or known faults or burns, and adverse roof conditions is encountered or anticipate additional roof support such as longer and or more roof bolts and or timber and or crossbars will be installed. And again, where we're mining, just a while back we mined out, we hit dirt. We got to the edge of the mountain, we hit dirt. And so whenever you get in areas like that, there is some precautions you need to take. The roof is usually not as stable. In long-term bleeder entries, the minimum roof bolt length will be 6 feet on 5-foot centers. I think we got that changed to 5 foot on 5-foot centers. Where roof bolt is not adequate to maintain the bleeder entry, a center row of timbers or cribs will be maintained. The timber or crib spacing will depend on the type of roof. Now when we get this long wall system we're putting in, a lot of you guys are going to get a lot of experience setting cribs. Our bleeder entries, our tailgate entries, we got to keep them open. We will be setting a lot of cribs and timbers in them. All persons required to operate the mobile roof support shall complete the required CASH training, including safe operating procedures. No person shall be permitted in by the miner operator while coal is being mined. While repositioning the mobile roof support, no person will be allowed in by the out by rib of the last lift. Again, you stay out of those intersections when you're moving them. We have those things set in there to hold the roof up. Now we're letting it down. There's a good chance the roof is going to fall. Persons monitoring the trailing cable and moving cables for the remotely controlled continuous mining machine and MRS equipment will stay out by the equipment operator. Before each lift is started, the MRS shall be set firmly against the roof at a pressure which will provide compression of the strata immediately above the seam. Pressures may vary from 1,000 to 2,400. Now all these mobile roof supports, guys can see them, they got great big pressure gauges on them. You can see for 100 feet away. When you're setting them up, you're in an area where you got good solid sandstone roof, you'll set them up to 2,400 PSI. If you got some loose top there, you can push these roof supports right through the top. So if it's a loose, soft roof, you keep it down to 1,000. In areas where the roof is solid, the higher pressure will be used. The MRS will be advanced with each minor lift. The in-by edge of the canopy of the shuttle car shall not go in by the last row of roof bolts during pillar recovery. Manual movement of MRS units will be for maintenance only. Now with these, again, these mobile roof supports are remote controlled. They do have some onboard controls on them. We have a problem a lot of times, guys will go get them and move them across the section using those hand controls. That's a no-no. It's not allowed. The only time you use those hand controls is when they're doing maintenance. They have to lift the canopy up and down or doing maintenance on it. You use the remote control the rest of the time. Breaker posts may be knocked out to allow the MRS units to be set. Again, along the gob line, we have to set breaker rolls when we come to pull the pillar. We want to put the mobile roof supports in there, so we'll push the timbers out with the MRSs. Breaker posts may be knocked out. Okay, if the breaker posts are knocked out, only one MRS at a time will push the post out on only one side. The MRS will be set against the roof before the second MRS is used to knock out the post on the other side and then set in place. If one MRS becomes inoperable, the MRS may be replaced with timber set on 4-foot centers, or a 3x3 foot crib may be installed in place of the mobile roof support. If more than one MRS becomes inoperable, mining will discontinue until repairs are made. Again, we've had this happen where one of these mobile roof supports will break down for a while, we can replace it with timbers or cribs. If two of them are broke down, we've got to get at least one of them fixed before we can mine. In no time will an MRS will be replaced with timber or cribs where left and right mining is being done. Again, on those pushes, when you're coming out, you're pushing left and right, you need two roof supports in there, which that's all you're ever using anyway, is two of them. So it's just out on that final push you can use timbers or cribs to replace one. While mining the final push-out stump, one inoperable MRS may be replaced with timber or cribs as long as the roadway leading into the stump is maintained at 16 feet or less. And that's whether you're using the cribs or not. The roadway can only be 16 feet. The inoperable MRS will be repaired as soon as possible.